Hello, this is Lee back once again for another video. And now I continue the Shimmer, the long Shimmer weekend reviews, volume 97. Continuing on. Let's see if I can make this one go by a little quicker, since I've already introduced the performers. So we had our little intermission, meet and greet. This time they actually opened up the barricades around the ring and they put some wrestlers there. So it's always just a mad, sweaty press when you're trying to, meet your favorite wrestler, shake hands, get an autograph signed, buy a digital versatile disc, a t-shirt, whatever. We had people standing on chairs. It was a madhouse. So they opened up the barricades and you could go, and not into the ring itself, but I did get close enough. I got a glimpse. And I've said this before, there were some shows, some live shows where I really felt sorry for the wrestlers and for Shimmer themselves, the company, because they were forced to use this AAW ring that belonged to the Eagles Club. And really, the thing was broken down looking. It looked filthy. There were just chunks of, I don't know, something rips in it. I don't know. It was dirty. It just looked trashy. I understand Shimmer's a small promotion. It's low budget. It's indie fed, but it's really embarrassing with the, pinkish red ropes and everything. But that ring was different. It was, instead, there were these big, fancy looking, it kind of reminded me of the ones from TNA, black, leather looking turnbuckle pads that had the pink Shimmer logo prominently displayed on each one. And the ring ropes were different. They were these big, thick, they looked like they had just tons of extra padding on the big black ropes. They were like that big around instead of the usual, steel cable with just a rubber coating around them, because they are steel cables. I was close enough. I could have reached out and kind of squeezed the rope, but I didn't. Kind of wish I had. I was like, I wonder how. But I suppose that would be good for the veterans, with their bad backs, having to bounce off those ropes, and the younger talent, not having to, smash up against a cushion. I didn't see anyone trying to walk the ropes. I'm not sure if they were slippery or not, more so than the regular taut cables. But no one attempted it. People would climb the turnbuckles, that's it. So the ring looked a lot better. But, when I got close enough, they say the hardest part of the ring is that, apron around the edge. But actually, I pressed down on it with my finger. I had to put a lot of pressure, but it went down. It kind of reminded me of those memory foam, if you've ever seen those beds, those special beds with the foam. But it's kind of like a hard foam. But it's very padded. And you could see underneath the layers, those look like the 2x4s rather than the plywood. But, there's some give. So it's definitely a wrestling ring, not as, all is not as it seems. But anyway, so good intermission. So here I am talking about intermission. I'm still a little bit tired, I guess. But I think that was nice what they did. There still wasn't quite enough time to do everything, and not every wrestler came out. I saw a lot of wrestlers at the intermission that hadn't even wrestled yet. I thought, that's interesting. So it looked like they were really cutting out some of the matches to try to give, I guess, certain people more time, perhaps. So it seemed like they really were focusing on the rookies, because I guess, as Shimmer, the company's probably looking forward, because, a lot of these people are going to be retiring or moving on to bigger promotions, and so they got to get their young talent over with the crowd, with the fans, so that, when everyone else is gone, people don't just stop showing up. So after that, you had the first match of Volume 97, Saturday, Berwyn Eagles Club, Chicagoland area. You had Ayo, I have your name, Kazuki against Veda Scott. Now, Veda Scott, the evil lawyer, the bad secretary, she's really grown in her character. She didn't get a lot of development, but just I love to hate her. Let me just put it that way. When she was a lovable goof, I kind of just wanted to see her get beaten down because she was so ineffectual. So, good for Veda Scott. But she was defeated. She was beaten down by Kazuki. And that's fine because we wanted to see her lose. We wanted to see Kazuki do well. And Kazuki, with her smiles, she's not helpless. And the Joshi test. But nevertheless, respect. Kazuki's a face, so of course. Um, Next, we had a tag team match, and here was your Halloween gift, a little bit late. Paradise Lost with, almost said Rosemary, but it's Courtney Rush. Courtney Rush, using the same character as she uses in TNA. Well, more or less. She is this zombie, witch, demonic, possessed, scary Alice in Wonderland person with a skull, makeup, and, Courtney Rush, is kind of a playful, kind of goofy, kind of, flipping her head around. I don't know. It's part of her personality, but mix in a little bit more of, like, Daphne, and other types of characters. And you really get Courtney Rush. And then with her is Dust, formerly known as Angel Dust. She kind of looks like a little bit younger, a little bit healthier version of Daisy Hayes. But of course, not like Daisy Hayes was the hippie, flower child. Whereas Dust, she's just kind of, here she has this makeup with these triangles around her eyes. More of a, almost like a 1970s, like punk zombie type of character. And Courtney Rush is always putting her palm on the forehead like she's channeling the evil into her. And Dust, she's carrying this a small, like, baseball bat with, looked like barbed wire wrapped around it. It's like, ooh, who are these scary people? So they were out for, vengeance, for blood. And their tag team Paradise Lost, with their creepy music and the creepy entrance, crawling into the ring and, hanging their heads and, just creepy people. The Sinister Sweethearts, Samantha Heights and Britt Baker. And I believe it was kind of interesting because the two of them, their outfits, I think this was the match, they wore like kind of black and red themselves, and they had little pentagrams on them, so I'm not sure if they were supposed to be witches, or if this is like, in the occult, they use the pentagram to trap the demon. I'm not sure what they were going for with that, but you could have just taken this match out of context and been like, oh, it's Halloween, scary, woo. But anyway, they were fighting, and the bad people won. Ooh. So a lot of character was shown here from the Paradise Lost. I think, well done. Well done. Showman, and of course Courtney Rush, letting Dust do a lot of the work. But when she got out there, she definitely did what she did and did it well. Because, of course, she's big and Angel Dust is small. Not an angel, not demon dust, just dust. So, good one there. You know what? I misread that, actually. This makes a little more sense, because I was thinking, Britt Baker, that doesn't quite... Because Britt Baker's in the next match. I meant to say Brittany Blake. And I was thinking, Brittany Blake, who is she? I don't really remember her. She's kind of, I don't know, just not a lot stands out about her. But Samantha Heights is small, and so is Brittany Blake, relatively speaking. And the two of them were kind of scared. Yes, this was definitely the one. They had the pentagram outfits. Yeah, so Britt Baker is in the next match. I was reading ahead in my list. So, Britt Baker against Zoe Lucas. And poor Zoe Lucas just can't get a break. She's not from a fake place like a Britsburg, and she talked about how, oh yes, I am a Brit. And she's one of these heels where if people start cheering for her opponent, they think she thinks they're cheering for her, and she hopes that, and she's delusional. I love it. So I'm seeing inklings of greatness in Lucas, and I hope she continues. I hope she comes back and does more. Britt Baker, I didn't really appreciate her before. I started to more. Just not a lot stands out about her. Um, apart from her appearance, but they had a decent match. So starting, poor Zoe was defeated and threw another temper tantrum. She just can't get a break. Poor girl. Next, we have Lou Fisto against Rachel Ellering. I knew this was going to be good because the both of them are just power style wrestlers. I believe Lufisto wore a. I'm not even going to check the photos. I'm just going to go from memory. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I believe she wore a purple and green outfit. Lufisto tends to have just great costumes. Once or twice she's worn something that was kind of wet, but most of the time just very good. Very good character. Of course, tough, strong, and just powerful. And then of course Rachel Ellering, athletic herself, strong woman. The two of them just had a very just I think they were evenly matched, if that makes sense, for themselves. Rachel Ellering, a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, but Lufisto definitely gave her a run for her money, and she did defeat her. She won, and I was glad, even though she's the heel. I like Lufisto, and I like to see her win. I gotta say, I'm a fan. Try not to be a fanboy. Next, we have Candice LeRae against Charlie Evans. Heel Charlie Evans. And of course, this was just an obvious, split. Well, not a split, very one-sided, because Candice LeRae, everyone loves Candice, and no one likes Charlie Evans. She's just such a bully. And Charlie Evans' thing is so funny because she even is like a schoolyard bully. She comes out, and she's like, wear the hats. Let's knock this guy's hat off. Just throw this person's hat to the ground. And if people heckle her, she pouts and gets upset. It's just so funny because it's so over the top and so obvious, but you just can't help it. It's just enjoyable. And Candice LeRae, a little smaller than both of these women are small, but Candice LeRae much smaller, much more high flying, focused. But Charlie Evans definitely competent, and Candice put her through her paces and ended up winning. Next match, moving right along, Hiroyo Matsumoto. She's back, and she's got really curly, fancy hair. And just with all her shenanigans, she's got her Godzilla mask that she uses as a hand puppet. This time it looks more like Shin Godzilla, more toothy, more alligator-like, or crocodile-like, I suppose, as opposed to the old classic Godzilla look from the 60s. And I think her outfit was kind of like peacock and with the colorful feathers. Just a joy to see Hiroyo Matsumoto in the ring. She's big, she's strong, she's sexy. She says, "Sexy Godzilla." With her just her broken English, just very enjoyable, kind of a comic character, but very strong, very tall and muscular, of course, and just very entertaining. And she knows the fans love her. And she was against Hudson Envy. And the two of them, they had some back and forth. You could tell Hudson Envy was kind of slipping into her wannabe Joshi. But, I hate to say it that way because really Sarah Del Rey, she trained in Japan and she wrestled like a Japanese woman. And it didn't seem fake. It didn't seem like she was a poser. And Hudson Envy kind of taking on the same way. I don't know how much actual training she's done with Japanese wrestlers, but she fit in quite well. And so I think this was a good match, very good match. Hudson Envy has improved a lot, and this was a Joshi test. And even though she was beaten, there was respect, and I definitely respected her for what she was able to do in this match with such an established and beloved performer like Hiroyo Matsumoto. And Hudson Envy, not just the cowardly heel, but really standing up to the challenge. Next, cheerleader Melissa once again against Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green, let's see. She is the blonde, yes, because it was Fire and Nice, I think is the tag team that she's in. It's hard to say. Chelsea Green kind of reminds me of Amber O'Neil, but like a good version of her. Other than her looks, though, I really don't know much about her as far as like what her talents are. But certainly Melissa, with these matches, just very methodically taking on these wrestlers, trying to, kind of teach them, some respect. But Chelsea Green, face. She was eventually defeated by Chili Melissa, but um, it's kind of like Melissa's the test. If you can beat her, you're good, and if she beats you, at least you win the distance. So we'll see how it goes for Chelsea Green. Then we have Nicole Savoy against Saraya Knight. And this one was, people of course were totally on the side of Saraya Knight. Poor Nicole Savoy, number 3, getting so much heat from the fans and just getting brutalized by Saraya. But she was able to pull out the submission victory against Saraya. It was just amazing because I thought, well, Saraya would never tap out, would she? She would pass out, but I guess she's more human now. Fans are starting to like her. Her hatred is going down, and she's maybe losing her power. Because before she was sustained on pure rage. So we'll see what happens. Next we have the tag team title match. The totally tubular tag team of Leva Bates and Delilah Doom. I believe they were doing a gimmick of Saved by the Bell, I guess. They're from the TV show, sitcom from the 90s. And Delilah Doom and Leva Bates. Now, Delilah Doom, of course, she I think when once the match actually starts, she tosses off her whatever costume, and she's got her, regular workout clothes underneath that she always has, her fitness gimmick. And they're against Mount Tessa, Vanessa Craven, of course, and Tessa Blanchard. And this was a good match. I had great respect for all the wrestlers. They didn't do as much kind of comedy shtick with the totally tubular tag team, except at the very beginning. It was like, oh, what a cheesy gimmick. They're never, ever going to win. Leva Bates is never, ever going to win. But there was some miscommunication. And Tessa basically screwed over her partner by accident. And Leva Bates took the win for her team. What? The new tag team champions. Now, I don't get as excited about the tag team championships as the title matches for the Shimmer tag team, or Shimmer title, the main title. They've got 5 now, I guess. Let's see. Shimmer, Shimmer tag team, Heart of Shimmer, Rise, Shine, and yeah, so those. Craven. This was the breakup. Craven and Tessa. They got in each other's way. There was a problem. So Tessa always wanted to take the glory for herself, but she screwed up. And now Vanessa Craven wants to destroy her. But you thought, they're going to fight right then and there, but they didn't. Instead, she's becoming a face, and she was going to challenge her later. So new tag champs. I thought, okay, they're joke tag team, but Delilah Doom, pretty competent. Leva Bates has been around a while, so finally time to show her quality. She was with Allison Danger so long, but without Allison Danger, she had to shine on her own. Shimmer, sparkle while you can. Finally, the title match for the Heart of Shimmer title. Speaking of many titles, actually there were two, well, three more matches. Excuse me, but Shazza McKenzie against Kelly Ann. Now I thought, well, I guess this could go either way. I wasn't very invested in this. Kelly Ann, starting to grow on me. Very subtle. Not over the top. She doesn't change her expression much. And Shazza McKenzie, poor girl. I'm not sure what. I feel like she could be so much better. But ever since she's been on her own, when she went into NXT and came back, I don't know. It's just some of the energy's just gone. I mean, she's cute. She's cute, but what else is she? There's got to be more. So everybody has an off night. I don't know. I just felt like Shazza, just and some things weren't her fault, but Kellyanne good enough. But Shazza defeated her and retained her title. So not much else to say about that. I guess I just can't remember. It just wasn't very memorable. So nothing against those performances, but it just wasn't as memorable. Maybe as some of the past matches. Moving on, we had Aja Kong against Mia Yim. Now, the Joshi gatekeeper, Mia Yim. But Aja Kong is a legend. She's wearing her old gear, her purple. I believe it was the purple. Suit and everything with her gloves, just powerful. And she looks like I don't know, she's shaped like an eggplant with arms. And yet every so often she flies through the air and she just do an elbow and just Aja Kong is amazing. If you can't tell, I'm a fan. Those matches she had with Manami Toyota and Bull Nakano and all those people, AJW, and I'm trying to think what other promotions, Arsian, and just an amazing woman, and she still got it. After all these years, after all the abuse she's been through, she still got it, and she's still impressive to this day. So, Mia Yim, I'm sure a bit of a fangirl moment for her as well, but, she had this great match with against Aja Kong, but failed to prevail, and Aja Kong defeated her, as I would expect. But it was still great to see, and a lot of people in the crowd were marking out behind me as well. So, fair enough. And now, finally, the last match for Volume 97, and I may need to take a little break before I finish up the evening, because this is going a little longer. And I'm getting a bit tired. Imagine how tired I was after 12 hours of wrestling. Imagine how tired the wrestlers were after all the hours they put in. But anyway, the title match, Mercedes Martinez against Hikaru Shida. Poor Shida. As time goes on, what Hikaru Shida, the Japanese wrestlers are so good. There's such acting skill with them. They've got humor. They've got violence, rage, energy. They've got storytelling. They've got pantomime. There's a language barrier for sure. When you don't have a commentary team explaining things to you, when you don't have the ability to understand the language, something is lost. But I've noticed it with so many Joshi wrestlers, just what they're taught, just big gestures, facial expressions. They tell a story in the ring. Aja Kong, what she doesn't even have to say anything. She's got or no. Just little noises she's making, but she guides you to the understanding. And Hikaru Shida is no different. But at some point in the match, she sustains an injury. Her limb worked, her leg, and she just the pain that she expresses, because of course Mercedes Martinez picks up on this and keeps attacking the injured, leg, and she's screaming in pain. Just her face is just a mask of torture. She's just she makes you believe she's just being just racked with agony from this injury. And Mercedes just keeps punishing and punishing and punishing the limb. Sweep the leg from Karate Kid. Poor Sheeta. So, and it's such a departure. So she's definitely a face by this time. If you ever thought she was a heel, she's a face now because of the sympathy that you reach out to this person who continues to fight, and yet they're being wounded so deeply. And she actually kept this up the whole weekend, because she'd start out the match, she'd be fine, and then one attack to that leg, and she's back into the pain, and the opponent just gonna keep going after the leg. Is she ever gonna be able to walk? And the problem is with Cheetah, that's the leg. I think it's the right leg. All of her moves use that leg. So how's she gonna be able to fight? But what happened was, Mercedes won. She did a submission hold. I don't remember the exact submission, but I believe it targeted the leg. And then Aja Kong comes out and helps the beatdown of Sheeta. So, no loyalty between these two. I don't know if Aja Kong had any history with Sheeta in the past in Japan, but Nicole Savoy eventually has enough. She actually gets in the way. And the end of the trifecta, Nicole Savoy is going to be out. She dared to stand up to her teammates against this travesty of this beatdown of Sheeta, who she had shown respect to before. So, interesting things afoot. Changes. What a great tag team, or stable, but the end. So next we'll have 98 and 99, but I'm going to need to take a little bit of a break. So I hope you don't mind, but many more good things to come. This was a great show. If you only saw Saturday, you would have enjoyed yourself, but there's even better things to come for Sunday. Not perfect. Some things went a little wrong, but I'll get into that later on. I would say that there were some smocks. Some people, I think there was a chant where people were going, old champ, new champ, old champ, new champ. And they did this for a long time. It was like the match had already started and they were still doing it. And someone just yelled out, this lady, behind me, and it's like, stop. This show is all about you. Don't make it all about you. And then they kind of stopped because they kind of felt bad. And I was glad that person spoke up, because really, some of these fans, they have too much to drink, and they just try to draw attention to themselves, and it's distracting, because people really didn't go there to hear their jokes. They went there to hear the show. And thankfully I wasn't sitting too close to anyone that was really doing that. I guess there was one person. I had earplugs. I could kind of put them in, and they kind of quieted down, and that person actually got up and left for a while. I don't know what they were doing, but later they came back with food, so I think they realized that maybe they were not being appreciated for what they were doing, which is fine. And so that it was a more enjoyable evening. So there were still smokes disrupting the show, but not so bad. And there was somebody else on the other side. I think the same lady yelled at maybe she should come to every show, but she came to see Aja Kong, not to see these wannabe comedians. Someone was calling Charlie Evans like a squirrel over and over again, and Charlie Evans is a professional. Of course he's going to heckle back, but it was distracting from the match. And the person wasn't even intoxicated, so what was their excuse? But they got yelled at too. No little girls to save the day. There were a couple little girls in the audience, but they were nowhere near as active as Indy Izzy and her friends from the last live show. So kudos to those fans, because you don't want to be the jerk. You don't want to be rude and have to stand up and tell someone to stop distracting them, everyone from the show. But at this, because a couple of funny comments here and there are fine, but some of these people just don't stop. And especially if you're sitting next to them, or they're right behind you and they're yelling in your ear stupid jokes the whole evening. So, it's good that some people do have the nerve to stand up to other fans who are distracted from the enjoyment of the show. So I would say the smock distractions were to a minimum. Some of the worst jokes, though, I gotta hear were from when Zoe Lucas was there. The British jokes. And I've heard these on other shows, too. People attempting to do British jokes. They're so bad. They're not even, like, funny in, like, a cheesy kind of bad pun kind of way. They're just really stupid. Like, chip, chip, cheerio. And, I enjoy, whatever. I enjoy funny jokes. But if you're gonna make a joke, make it funny. Please. And if it's not funny, stop. Don't just keep trying all night long, because, I mean, it is about the fans, but it's not about you as a fan. So it's about the wrestling, it's about the entertainment for all the fans, not just those in attendance, but those who are going to be watching later. So, anyway, it is what it is. But a great 2 volumes for Saturday, and more to come in future videos. So thank you for watching.